Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I'm a trained remote viewer, uh, and all my psychic skills have been developed. I am not an astrologer, but the same way I read medical situations, business situations, without having training in those particular fields, I can give you information having to do with your astrological sign. If you do not believe in astrology, I can understand it. You bought into the disinformation about the importance of the transference of the energies from different planets. We accept it from the moon. We know the moon affects the tides. Water is emotions, by the way. So we accept that, but we don't accept anything else. If we are totally sold on the modern version of life, which is very limiting to the physical dimensions. Once you get to the other dimensions, there are different laws. So I suggest you start doing your homework, finding a couple of astrologers that do weekly astrology. You can try us, even though every once in a while we don't do weekly, and just follow it. And I think you're going to be shocked at the connection between what they're letting you know having to do with your astrological sign or the astrological sign of your boss or your kid or your mate. And I think you're going to be your own scientist. Science is not reserved for university graduates from prestigious universities. The definition of science is to observe and draw conclusions. And that is how I understood the importance of astrological influences. I took care of over 50 children with autism decades ago. And when we were handling the files, we realized that the children that were autistic, that were earth signs, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, were so much easier to handle. Grounded earth. And the autistic kids that were fire signs, rages, destroying things, the opposite of tranquility. But it's because they had a lot of the element of fire. Those would be the Sagittarius, the Aries, and the Leos. And I went, And then I was following astrology. And one month it came up that I was going to take a big loss and I really needed to watch my banking. A couple of weeks later, because it was a monthly read, that particular one, my accountant walks in and says, my check bounced. And I went, we don't bounce checks. I went, she said, there's no money in the bank. I went, that's really weird. I said, but you know what? You're the accountant. So you wrote a check on an empty bank account. How did that happen? And she looked at me and went, oh, okay, I'll be back. And then she went back and she found that it was a $3,000 check that the bank had not credited to my account. But I was warned about that in the astrological read. And I remembered that and I went, oh, so this is like really important. It is an influence. It should not take over your life, but it will tell you things. And I can tell you because I'm saying it to all of my followers in Spanish, which are many followers. In terms of politics, it's important also. This week, one of the dictators that you're all familiar with, his astrological read says, you should have done something before. Now look what happened. And basically the image that I got and I described was like in the cartoons when they're going to try and stop somebody, or you see these pointed arrows from the top coming down around the person and then from the bottom also. The person is totally in a cage. Can't move, not even an inch. That was the image for this dictator this week. Future's elastic and plastic. As the planets are one influence. If your father beat you up when you were young, or people beat you up, and you never purified your reaction to those beatings, you can block the good stuff from the planets. And if somebody's done black magic on you, even if you don't know it, you will probably not get the good stuff that the planets are trying to send you. So Everybody that has to hire a team needs to know about the signs. You do not want too many earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, because then things won't move. Too much earth. You also don't want too many air signs because then everything is a thought, but it's not grounded. The air signs are the element of earth, of air. Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and give you what I pick up from the planets this week, the 25th, I believe, until. Let me make sure I say the date right. The 25th until the 3rd? For the week of the 25th. People that are psychics are not so good with numbers because measurement, time, and all the rest of that does not apply to the other dimensions. I am particularly glad. And I always tell people it's due to a blow to the side of my head. That's probably true, but there's other stuff going on. We don't need to get into that. So let's go ahead and start with what the astrologers normally start with, which is Aries. Aries is a male sign and it's a fire sign. So what would Aries need to know this week? Aries, you've got a lot of emotions that are moving, moving, moving. That's good because the definition of the word emotion means to move out, emote. So you're emoting, stuff is moving, whether you're screaming it or you're doing a mantra to silently process it. So you got to be feeling like a little bit unsettled. That's an understatement. So why don't you do this purification mantra, which is even though I'm confused and afraid, I love and accept myself. You don't move your mouth with the mantras. You say them silently and you expel the breath through your mouth. So Aries, that's your mantra. You will, within 10 minutes, you will find yourself a little bit more able to think or able to think a little bit better. I'm not seeing bad stuff, but it's got to be overwhelming what it is that you feel. So let's go ahead to the next sign, which is Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign and it's a female sign. Taurus, you don't look bad. Tauruses have an issue that they don't like to make a decision. They don't want to make a mistake. Uh, Tauruses live full of fear. It's what the planets send them. So it's not their fault unless you understand that they chose that sign before they were born in order to resolve that issue. But anyway, so Taurus, I see you. You already made a decision. You're kind of out of the house, ready to go ahead and do whatever you need to do, and you're just kind of standing there because it's just a lot. Yes, and if you saw what's going on in the other dimensions, it doesn't have anything to do with you, Taurus, but is influencing you as it is all of us, then you'd go, my God, how can I think straight? So maybe you need to do the same mantra as Aries. Even though I'm afraid and confused, I love and accept myself. Taurus, I'm going to remind you that Tauruses have an incredible tendency towards Parkinson's. You know how Parkinson's, their neck moves? Well, this is a Taurus. Okay, so I need to do this, but okay, I'm going to do that. You know what? Maybe that's not such a great idea. No, this is within their heads. No wonder they have a tendency towards Parkinson's. As soon as we get in the United States, it's moving incredibly into taking into consideration other dimensional factors. As soon as we can get our medicine to take astrology seriously, you're going to be able to run through a computer and find out what the astrological signs have a tendency to become sick of. Did you know that the father of Hippocrates, that's the father of modern medicine, what he said was, if you are not a good astrologer, you cannot be a good doctor. Every sign has particular parts of their bodies and tendencies that are vulnerable and need to be really paid attention to. Taurus is vulnerable to Parkinson's. Don't end up like that. And that movement, by the way, is a spirit that you allowed in because you overthink things. You want to be perfect. You don't want to make a mistake like all the other dummies. No, you're just like all the rest of us. You make a decision, you make a mistake, and you change it. That's simple. Continuing on. I'm a Cancer, by the way. We're the mothers of the zodiac. So if I sound like I'm trying to take care of you and I'm not that professional, it's because I'm not. And I am trying to take care of you. Okay? So, going on to the next sign, it's Gemini. Gemini is an air sign and it's a male sign. Gemini, what do you need to know this week? Gemini, what do you need to know this week? You have too much on your plate, and somebody did something, or you did it yourself. Your mind strings, I don't have a picture right here, are tied here, which means you have a lack of faith. Actually, I took care of a Gemini yesterday, and exactly that. So you have too much going on, and you don't have faith. But it's not that you don't have faith that you can do all that's on your plate. It's like you're limping in the faith department, which is the connection to God and spirit. So let's give you the mantra. Even though I'm afraid, I'm not going to be able to do it. I love and accept myself. So if you have faith, then the fear kind of dissipates. You don't need for things to be proven to you. You kind of accept that it's going to be okay, that your intentions are going to play out. So that's your mantra. Who is Gemini in our life? President Trump. Too much on his plate. Makes sense that he might have some issues with that. Coordinating of all this stuff, moving into the golden age, the apocalypse, end times, subpersonalities coming up as predicted by the Mayans, portals opening, planets splitting in two, and he's the head of the most important nation on the planet, the United States. As an aside, I think I probably have bothered a lot of people by my contention. Let me start by saying that Jesus Christ is one of my people. And we don't talk about him more when we do our healings because so many people really just bought the marketing about Jesus Christ, but really didn't understand Jesus Christ. So, like I said to somebody yesterday who was furious at me, that I would say that there are people that have a vibration that's higher than Jesus Christ, furious at me. And I said, do you live like Jesus Christ? No. You can't live like Jesus Christ in the United States. It's very difficult. You can do it, but it really means whatever. So we are going into a new cycle. It's in the Bible. Did you? And we end up at the city of gold. And it's all crystals and gold. That means things are going to be different. Different. So we can't hang on to the old stuff. So I'm just kind of explaining because this may end up becoming a big problem. Francis, dishonoring Jesus Christ. No, I live like Jesus Christ. I don't need to talk about him. I live it. And I'm not going to be throwing, unless they're very specific phrases from that book that was written 300 years after he died. I'm not going to be doing like this to you. I will be saying, look, they knew this from before. Pay attention. So I just needed to say that. This marketing of Jesus Christ was not a good thing because the good stuff got lost because the people that did the marketing and the people that are throwing that book around, which is, I look in that book. If I see something profound, I look up the subject. What did the Bible say about it? But to throw the whole book around at people with a wagging finger, I don't think so. Not a good thought. And I know Jesus wouldn't have done that. And I've stopped an awful lot of people when they have gone at me, this was years ago, and have said, would Jesus have liked this that you're doing? They get stopped in their tracks and they go, you're right. So think. Okay, the next sign we just did Trump's, which is Gemini, and then we go into Cancer. Cancer is a female sign. Water. Water is emotions. Lots of emotions. Cancer, what do you need to know? Well, your solar plexus is wounded but healing. Solar plexus is the garbage can of emotions. It's a chakra, and it is defined by the people who know a lot as the garbage can of emotions. It's also where your personal power is. So I see Cancer in the water, which is lots of emotions. And then I see a helicopter and a rope, and it's around the solar plexus of the Cancer person, and the helicopter is lifting the person out of that water and putting that person on the beach. Now, in my case, that could be really valid and very specific, the images. But what would this mean for you if you're a Cancer and you don't have the kind of issues that I have? Well, it means that you're going to get rescued. That your solar plexus, your garbage can of emotions, is healing. And you are also going to be rescued. Other people are going to help you out. That's real important. The United States is Cancer. The mothers of the zodiac. Home is so important. That's why when the foreclosure crisis in this country was a terrible blow to the destiny of this country. That's, I believe, been corrected, but it was not. It was a low blow. That was not good because the country is Cancer. I am Cancer. I believe Colombia is Cancer also. Okay, going on to the next sign. Leo. Leo's a male sign and it's a fire sign. So, Leo, what do you need to know? You still have an awful lot of fire coming up from your solar plexus, which is where you channel your personal power. So, until Leo, you take care of your repressed rage and thinking that everybody is stupid, you're not going to have the personal power you're going to have if you take care of that. Easy. Even though I hate everyone and everybody, everything and everybody, I love and accept myself. Even though I hate everything and everybody, I love and accept myself. So you should do that morning, noon, and night. But what do you need to know this week? You actually have less fire in you than normal. This is good. You are reducing it. You can think a little bit more. If you could go to the beach, it would be good and sit right at the edge of the water where you're sitting on the sand, but you have the water coming up to your legs and your hips. That would be really good for you. So get videos with beach scenes. Um, and interesting because I have a lot of videos with a lot of water, but that's not what I'm recommending to Leo. It's beaches. So get yourself, as a screensaver, a beach scene. And then just visualize yourself sitting there. And then continue with the mantra of reducing your fire. Even though I hate everybody and everything, I love and accept myself. And just make it like a little silent chant in your head. And you're going to take care of what you still have, the fire that's still kind of burning up your personal power. Okay? Next, Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign and it's a female sign. Mexico is Virgo. Okay, Virgo, what do you need to know? I see you saying, I can't live like this anymore. And if I don't say the truth, I'm not going to make it. So, Virgo apparently, and Virgos, it's true, they are hermetic. Virgos have apparently not communicated things that they need to communicate in order to be able to continue forward. And look how I'm holding my arms. I'm holding my solar plexus because I've tapped into Virgo this week, which means lots of fear. Okay, so Virgo, let's give you a mantra and make it easy. Even though I don't know how to say it, I love and accept myself. Even though I don't know how to say it, I love and accept myself. So I think there's a lot of stuff you should have said through the decades and you didn't. But right now, there's 2 or 3 things that you really need to say, and your life will be completely different, Virgo. Okay. I'm going to remind you, you probably don't know, that between the 7th and 8th of September, there is an eclipse, a full super moon eclipse. It is a breakoff point. And what point is that? Where they say in the Bible that God comes and he lifts one woman up and the other one is left behind at the well? The separation of people into 2 different vibrations, 2 different frequencies. The 8th, 7th, 8th of September, that eclipse is the break point. Which vibration are you going to be in? The one that gets lifted up because your frequency is high, or the one that's going to stay behind with all the violence that will only augment? So, that being said, let's go into Libra. Libra is a male sign and it's an air sign. Libra's sitting there going, I can't do this. Libra apparently has signed on for something or has a lot of things they have to do. And the truth of the matter is, they cannot do them all long term, and they never made provisions. They didn't say no to projects, or they didn't say, I don't really get this. Somebody needs to explain it to me, and then I'll take care of it, but I need to understand it first. Didn't do that. And right now, they're drowning. Unfortunately, the new real president of Venezuela is a Libra. She's a very nice lady. So if she hears these horoscopes, she can just start to say, I need help on this. I don't get this. And I don't think I need to do this. Whatever it is that she does, she does. But this is what she needs to know this week. She and everybody else who's a Libra. You took on too much. You didn't let people know that you didn't really understand certain things that you said you were going to take care of. And maybe you're still not admitting it, because Libras do have high self-esteem issues. So Libra, figure it out. Let's give you a mantra. Even though I'm afraid I can't do this, I love and accept myself. And it looks like the dictator's ready to leave, at which time this Libra will be in power. Now, the supposed president of Venezuela is a Virgo. We just did that astrology. What did we say? They need to talk to people. They need to admit to things. They need to confess some things. I'm not talking that they stole money, whatever it is that they need to. The good news is that Venezuela is an angelic country, and the people that are duly elected and will be in soon are angelic. One of them's angelic. The other one is the vice president, who's the one who's supposedly really going to be in charge, is angelic, and the president is whale consciousness. This is good because whale consciousness are very stabilizing. Mexico is Virgo, and it's mainly whale consciousness. So Mexico is a very stabilizing country, and its people, if they're whale consciousness, and most of them are very stabilizing. Maybe they're not a lot of fun, whatever. So even the Mexican vibration in the United States was very stabilizing to the United States. I'm not talking about illegal aliens or whatever, so don't bring that up. I'm talking about Mexico. Don't add any other issues to it, please. I'm trying to give you information. You can't just label people and then everything's over. Don't do that. Okay, a lot of factors, a lot of influencing factors. Next sign is Scorpio. Scorpio is a fascinating sign. It's female, it's water, emotions. Scorpio. I always see Scorpio with a suitcase, small suitcase ready to leave wherever he's at. And then sometimes lately I see him walking down the hall trying to escape without nobody knowing. But now what I see is Scorpio opens the suitcase and there's a file there, and he starts to look at the papers in the file, and every single paper in that file is good news for Scorpio. Money, job, freedom. And Scorpio's like, oh my God. So apparently, Scorpio, you did a good job at jerking all the rest of us around, because Scorpios are really kind of scary. They know how to pull the rug out from under people, all in order to get the person to wake up to something. But it doesn't feel like that in the moment. In the moment, it feels like they're scheming and treacherous and betraying. Scorpio, thank God things are going to go your way. You're going to be able to be free. This is like a really good thing, because Scorpios, I know we are not taught that, but I am telling you that Scorpios behave poorly because they're trying to help somebody to wake up. And when they behave like really poorly, like really slapping the person around with whatever, it's because that person really, really, really needs to wake up. Okay? Interesting. Okay, let's continue on with Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign of the dictator in Venezuela. And I already know because I told you a few minutes ago. And if I didn't, let's say it again. Sagittarius, you really needed to have made a difference before. You were afraid, you didn't know, you didn't have any support. Now it's too late. You didn't make the decision to move. So I see that image of this cage coming from above down onto you, trapping you, and another cage coming from below, trapping you. So you're double trapped on the physical dimension and on the spiritual dimension. You did not move. And by the way, for all of us, anything that doesn't move eventually dies. When your blood doesn't move freely through your blood vessels and arteries, aging process, eventually you die. Your skin does not sweat properly. Everything needs to flow. The ducts out of the liver, the bile, that needs to flow. If it gets stopped up, you end up with the doctors and maybe surgery. So even us, we have to flow. We have to move. We can't stay in the same place forever. Taurus and Earth signs, but particularly Taurus, you can't stay in the same place forever. You'll end up dead. It may be a slow process. Okay, so we did Sagittarius, and it certainly would appear to apply to the dictator of Venezuela, who, by the way, really did want to leave, but the people around him didn't. But there you go. You got to have the guts to figure it out and say, yeah, this is scary, but I need to do it. Now, maybe there's no options. And that this is for all Sagittarius. These are influences. You may have already cleaned up your act, and maybe the stuff from the planets doesn't apply to you, which is what is supposed to be our goal. But I suspect for most of you, it's going to apply. Continuing on, Capricorn is a female sign, it's an earth sign. Capricorn, I see you ready to have fun, but fun as in order. You still have to be in charge, and you have all sorts of people that you're inviting into your life. Whereas up till now, for a couple of years, Capricorn has been putting up fences and gates and not allowing anybody anywhere near. But that changes this week, and that's very good. Now, Capricorn's going to want to know who's this person, where are they from, what are the references. Capricorns are very careful, and they're all about taking care of their families. They're the polar opposite of Cancer. So it's a great combination. All the signs have another sign that's the perfect combination. All that means is it makes it much easier to relate to that person and to be married to that person, to have them be on your team. It's kind of nice. It makes things flow. Okay, next sign, Aquarius. Aquarius is a male sign, and it's an air sign. I am really getting shadow banned. 16 people to look at horoscopes. It's like impossible. It's impossible to have numbers that low. Those are the ones they allowed to register. Oh my, I'm going to stop complaining about that and know that Trump and Elon are going to get this taken care of. So, Aquarius is a male sign and an air sign. Aquarius. I see you inside your front door getting ready to leave. And then I see people inside the front door and they're angry at you because you didn't tell them. You just were hermetic with your thoughts and your emotions, don't share, and they're angry. And then you open the door and there's a group of people outside the front door and they're not letting you out. And the people that are outside the front door have their backs to you and they're talking amongst themselves and are saying, she should have said something. This is not the way to do it. So I think, Aquarius, you got caught because you didn't let the people that you should have let know what you wanted, what your plans were. You just went ahead in your head, you figured it all out, and then you're ready to bolt, and nobody in your inner circle or outside are going to let you do that. I'm not sure if it's you have some explaining to you, or if your plans need adjustments to take into consideration those people that are part of your group, your family, whatever it is, you just got stopped. Communication is incredibly important. And it's really almost like a fair thing to let the people know that are going to end up holding the bag if you make a big change. Now, that being said, if you live in a world that's treacherous, a lot of black magic, you can't really share everything. And sometimes you can't share anything. But Aquarius, they're experts at not sharing. So, Aquarius, you need to figure it out. Next sign, and the last one, is Pisces, the most evolved of all the astrological signs. Miserable people internally, because they do not process emotions. They just hold on. And what do you need to know this week, Pisces? Very private. So they don't want anything. They don't want to hear anything that could be negative, whatever. Also, not good communicators. What does Pisces need to know this week? Pisces has, like in ancient times when they would have that, I guess, a chain, and at the end of it, there'd be a big ball. And one of the ways they waged war, the foot soldiers, was to swing that around and knock the people out, dead probably. Pisces has that weapon. In other words, it leaves like 6 or 7 feet between Pisces and the enemy, and the Pisces is swinging, and the enemy is going to be taken out, not just down, taken out permanently if they try to come anywhere near. So Pisces apparently is not talking, but is actually doing and clearing their spaces. I'm going to make a statement. I don't know what it means. This particularly applies to the foot soldiers in Pisces life. What does that mean? I have no idea, but some of you will understand that. I don't know what it means. Particularly applied to the foot soldiers. So the foot soldiers are the ones that are going to be really threatened by this swinging of this metal ball by Pisces. I don't have a mantra for Pisces, but I can tell you the thought of Pisces this week is, I didn't know there were so many enemies. I didn't know. So I hope that helps. So anyway, I'm Frances Fox. These are the energies that get sent towards you this week. It doesn't mean that the energies align or land, because the law of attraction, which is the law of magnetic resonance, applies. So if you have a really low vibe and the planets want to send you really good stuff, which is high vibe, you're not going to get it. It's not matching frequencies. It's not even close, which is the reason why you need to clear, so that you can get all the goodies the planets do send. And I'm going to remind you again about the eclipse, the 7th and 8th of September 2025, which is like a line in the sand on planet Earth. 8 weeks after that eclipse, between the 7th and the 8th, you will know what side of the line you landed on. Meanwhile, purify. Your father beat you, your mother left you, your little sister died. You were sexually assaulted at 7. Most of the stuff that really takes you down or holds you down is when you're a child, which I finally figured out that the reason it hits us so hard is because we're totally impotent, because we're children, infants. We can't do anything. Once you get a little bit older, you have a little bit of options. No, my aunt, I can ask her this. If it gets bad enough, you can call the police, da, 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 da. But when you have 0 options, which means you're a child, that's when the traumas really, really get inside of you. And then they get covered up and you don't remember. Purifying. And the mantras, the ones that I have developed, which are point specific, not the ones that they teach you in Buddhism and in India, which are great, but they're for your spiritual development. I'm here so that your daily life is easier, so that you're happier, so that your vibe is higher, so that you can ascend in a graceful way. So thank you for joining me. I'm Frances Fox. And we do have a podcast, Frances Fox, News from Other Dimensions, on Spotify and on Apple, I think. Thank you.